What's that shimmering light off in the distance? It must be the Disenfranchised podcast. We're that podcast all about those franchises of one, those films that fancy themselves full-fledged franchises before falling flat on their face after the first film. I'm your host, Stephen Foxworthy, and joining me, as always, the man who spent more than his fair share of time in the Shimmer, it's Brett Wright. Hey, Brett.
Hello, Stephen.
How we doing, buddy?
Doing all right, man. How are you?
Doing all right.
What the fuck?
And that little voice you hear off in the distance, his eyes may be glowing, but his heart is pure. It's our co-host, Tucker. Hey, Tucker.
Hi, Steven. How's it going?
Not bad. What are you what the fucking?
I got my little pin here that has my marijuanas in it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's new, and I don't understand all the button presses. And I don't know what I'm doing, really. I'm just trying to get it back to what it was before I fucked up. Honestly.
Okay, well, good luck.
This is some serious, like old man struggling with technology sort of thing.
It really is.
He's like, well, I don't know what the red light means in comparison to the blue light.
Well, it's new, and it's got different. It's very different than any other that I've had.
New, and it said to click it 3 times. I click it 3 times. I mean, am I clicking it too fast? Martha, get in here and help me with the marijuana.
I figured it out.
Right on. And there's the vapor to prove it. Also joining us, one of my very dear friends from back in the day, musician, actor, what other superlatives should I say here, Noah? You've done pretty much everything.
Oh, that's kind of you.
Well, Noah East joining us on the podcast today. Hey, Noah, how's it going, man?
Thank you so much for having me, you guys.
Absolutely. It's been a long time coming. Really just waiting on you to decide what movie you wanted to cover.
My podcast ended a couple years ago, and I haven't been on anybody's since then. And so I am glad to be back talking about movies on the internet.
Hell yeah. We're thrilled to have you. And as mentioned, Noah, you picked today's movie. What movie did you pick for us?
I picked Alex Garland's sophomore directorial effort, Annihilation.
2018's Annihilation, written for the screen and directed by Alex Garland, and starring Natalie Portman, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Gina Rodriguez, Tessa Thompson, Tuva Novotny, Oscar Isaac, Benedict Wong, and David Gyasi. What a cast. Gentlemen, what a picture. Holy shit.
You guys, I immediately have to jump in because the gal that played the military gal, what's her name?
Military gal?
Yeah, the one military gal with the hair, and she's the first one to go, and the bear tears her. Well, the second one to go, the bear tears her jaw off. That gal,
Gina Rodriguez.
That's the gal from my sitcom I watch,
Jane the Virgin.
No, the other one.
not dead yet. Not dead yet.
Oh, okay.
And I could not. I was so impressed with her in this movie, not because she did like a phenomenal job or anything, but just that she pulled off this role. Because all I've seen her in are prissy sitcom roles.
Yeah, so I was talking to my wife about this last night. That I was like, "Is that the chick from Jane the Virgin?" And she said, "Yeah." I was like, "That's a comedy, right?" I was like, "Well, this is the only time. I mean, this is the only thing I've ever seen her in." But I was under the impression that she was a comedic actress, and man, she gets a lot to chew off in this movie.
She does. I never really doubted her ability. I had just never seen her play anything outside of her normal thing that she does, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, she has got a pretty vast array of credits, including Deepwater Horizon, Awake. I mean, she's done quite a bit across, and she plays Barbara Gordon on Batman podcasts as well. So there's that. But I mean, you know, it's the thing they say about comedic actors. If you want someone that can deliver, you know, dramatic dialogue real well, hire a comedian because they understand timing innately.
Yeah.
So,
dude, I was just reading. I got back into reading the biography of Jim Varney that I'm reading.
Oh my God.
And he had said something to someone about how, like, if you do drama, you know, you can do it a whole bunch of different ways and it works. But if you don't nail a fucking joke, the joke does not work.
Nope.
It does not work. There's no like 2 ways to do it. You have to do it the way that it works.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, comedy is difficult and it takes a certain kind of person to be able to do that consistently well. And sometimes comedic voices can get muted, deadened, or just lost. Which is why, you got all the old comedians saying, well, you can't say, anything funny anymore. No, you just can't be offensive. And if the only way to be funny is being offensive, then you're not that funny.
Yeah.
See, that's why comedians should do characters. That's speaking of the Jim Varney biography I was just reading. He was talking about that too. He was like, if you want to be offensive, if you want to, even do like satire of like offensive stances or opinions, just do it as a character. You don't do it as your character. You create another character to say those things so that you can be like, oh yeah, that's just some silly character I do.
That's the Sacha Baron Cohen model. That's the
Robert
Downey Jr. and Tropic Thunder model.
Absolutely. That's 100% it.
That's when I make fun of minorities at home when it's just me and my wife, and and it's just to get a rise out of her, so that I'll do a little like hillbilly character, who's like who confuses all Southeast Asian people as Muslims.
Oh God,
that sort of thing.
I think it helps sell the satire if you do it as a different character,
because she knows that I don't feel that way. But when I'm playing Teddy Jim Bob or whatever, throw a little accent on it, all of a sudden it's comedy gold.
Right. Yeah. There you go. And some people don't know how to do that. So yeah, man.
Rodriguez sure does. The way that she punches down in this. No, I'm kidding.
She's fantastic.
She's so funny in this movie.
Take that, peons. No, she really got, I was impressed with her as well, because I recognized her this time on this rewatch. I don't think I really clocked her before when I had watched this movie. I've seen this a couple of times. This is, I think, my third or fourth rewatch. I don't remember. But I actually clocked her this time. I was like, oh, that's Gina Rodriguez. And I was brilliant. I mean, she's playing a character very unlike anything that I've ever seen her do before. And to watch her pull it off as well as she does, speaks just mountains for her ability, quite frankly.
Yeah, I see. I had a very dissimilar experience. The first time I saw this movie was in the theater, and I was among the most hungover I've ever been in my life.
Nice.
And I could have sworn that it was Michelle Rodriguez. And then when I said that to my wife, she was like, no, you're just racist.
I was going to say, man, that's like two very different looking Latina ladies.
Right. Yeah, they're very different.
They are extremely different vibes, the whole nine.
Different, like they're different body types and everything.
Yeah.
This doesn't look like Ana Lucia from Lost. Yeah.
Well, you got the last name right anyway.
Yeah. Very common last name.
So what is so Noah, you selected this movie. You said you saw it in the theaters for the first time. What is your history with Alex Garland as a filmmaker? What is your history with this movie? Why did you pick this one for us to cover?
Because I've read the book, so that helps. And I am a humongous Alex Garland fan. I consider him to be one of the most exciting science fiction directors of the last 25 years. He has not made a bad film, in my opinion, and I know that a lot of people think this is his best film. So I've not seen the Michael Bay's Transformers. This I've seen. So if I was going to come on and talk about something, it needed to be something like this. And I think you guys already did Hot Rod, so I was like, all right, we're doing Annihilation then.
No, we haven't.
You may come back.
I'll come back for that because
we can talk
absolutely.
about
that's in my top 5 comedies of this century also.
Mine too.
That's pretty great.
But Annihilation.
I've never seen it.
Oh, this movie just
your life's about to change.
This movie fucking whips. It's just so good. It's so good for so many reasons that I'm sure we'll get into, but yeah, I kind of worship at the altar of Alex Garland.
Right on. Have you? I'm a silly question, but have you seen Civil War yet? And if so, what do you think?
I saw it opening night. I get why it's so divisive, but a lot of the issues that people had with it, I don't have those problems. I think it's far from perfect, but the quibbles that I had with it were mostly minor, and I think it's another very good film of his. It's my least favorite Garland, but that's saying something still.
Do you think that it was marketed in a deceptive way? A lot of people are saying that the trailers make it seem like a big bang action movie when really it's more of an intimate sort of character piece.
Sure. I think that because they spent $50 million on it, they needed to find a way to make sure they got that money back. And the best way for them to get that money back was to market this as a shoot 'em up action
Just to
film
lie to people, yes.
to get butts and seats,
Yeah.
and then hope that they'll stick around and still enjoy it, and thus word of mouth it, just because it's so interesting and deals with so many prescient issues, But I don't know that that's happened. It's still very divisive.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list. Like I want to. There was a time a couple weeks ago when I almost got out to see it and I didn't.
I'm assuming a lot of these people, a lot of your audience probably will have seen it by the time they hear this. And the one thing that I have an issue with some of the negative reviews of it is that it doesn't lean in one direction, one way or the other politically. And
great.
I mean, I shouldn't have to tell people that that's the point.
Honestly, that sounds great. I don't want it to.
The politics are irrelevant. That's why they're so ambiguous. It's just about the people on the ground and what's actually happening to them. It's the politics are. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to mirror our reality. It's not about the politics.
Right. And that's the number one complaint that I think I've heard. And at that point, I'm just like, if that's not what the movie's about, then that's not what the movie's about. You can't complain and make the movie about something it's not about. So,
well, and I feel that if that's what you were wanting out of this film, then I don't think you were going to like it to begin with.
I think people are just looking for validation because they see something like this and they're like, oh, well, they're definitely going to be on my side. And
yeah, we're going to tell those libs what for.
And and even on the opposite side, all those MAGA dipshits are gonna eat their words when they see this movie. I'm gonna feel so validated,
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm glad to hear that it's not on any side, that it's just a straight up movie,
and
because I prefer
very intentional, very intentional.
Right on. I like that.
I almost saw it, but I saw Boy Kills World instead.
I encourage you to see it in the theater just because it is the money that they put behind it is on display, and it's A24's most expensive film to date, and so far it's its biggest opening weekend box office, so it's going to make its money back.
Nice.
I've
only seen one Alex Garland film in theaters so far, and that was Men.
Yeah.
Which I saw in a mostly empty theater.
Same here.
Yeah. I don't think that one was for the masses, really.
No, it wasn't. But think about that, though. He doesn't make art for the it's not populist cinema. The stuff this guy's making, even before he was directing, even the stuff that he was writing was some heady stuff. Some not navel gazing or anything, but it's pretty. It's not populist cinema. Let's just say that.
Yeah. For sure.
And I think that's why Men was so maligned as well.
Yeah, he tends to write things that are very divisive. I just bought Sunshine a few months ago on Blu-ray, and I have not watched it yet, but it is on my list. Brett, what is your history with Annihilation, with Alex Garland? Like, what's the Brett sitch on this guy?
Well, I saw Annihilation when it came out. Mm-hmm. Enjoyed the movie so much I read the book.
Yeah.
Right on.
I never got around to the sequels. Mm-hmm. I do need to read the other two books in the trilogy. Other than that, I mean, he did 28 Days Later, right?
Yep.
He wrote it, yeah.
So I've seen those. I love those. Other than that, not much else.
I believe he only wrote the first one, right, Stephen?
He did. He just wrote the first one. Okay. He wrote a lot with Danny Boyle. He wrote 3 Danny Boyle films or I guess he did The Novel of the Beach.
Yes.
And then 28 Days Later, and then Sunshine in 2007.
Yeah. And then that's when he went on his own.
Yeah, Never Let Me Go, Dread, future episode of this podcast, Dread.
Mhm.
And then he started writing his own stuff. Did a few video games. DMC he wrote the three
Devil
of
May Cry.
those: Devil May Cry, Bloody Palace Mode, and Virgil's Downfall. And then he started, and also the definitive edition. And then Ex Machina, whew, comes out in 2014, and then he's off to the races, basically as writer director.
Hold
Alex
on,
Garland.
back up.
So
So he didn't write. That sounds like a game and 2 DLCs for Devil May Cry.
Oh, okay.
Run that by me again. What were they?
Devil May Cry, Bloody Palace Mode, and Virgil's Downfall.
Is it Devil May Cry or DMC?
DMC,
Okay,
Devil
look,
May Cry.
it's DMC. I'm looking at it right now, Brett. It is
Okay.
DLC because it is collected 2 years later in the definitive edition. All three of those come out in 2013, so I'm assuming those other two are DLC.
Okay, so it is DMC, which is the remake of Devil May Cry. Which I enjoyed. Most fans hated.
Yeah, a lot of people hated it, but I never played it, but my pal that played it really liked it, so I trust his judgment.
I enjoyed it quite a lot. So it's cool to see that he wrote on that. That's fantastic.
So what really made me a Garland acolyte is Ex Machina. Is one of my favorite films of this whole century. I think it's for me, it's the gold standard of science fiction, at least terrestrial science fiction, maybe ever. I think it might be the best I've ever seen. The performances are phenomenal, and that movie just floored me, and I've seen it probably 20 times, and I still feel the same way about it as I did before. The score is incredible. I mean, it's a perfect film. Annihilation is close to a perfect film. And then there's Devs. Have any of you seen Devs?
I saw like the first episode, but I didn't watch more than that, I'm afraid.
Do you remember the feeling you got when you saw the first season of True Detective and thought, this is the best season of television I've ever seen?
If by the first season of True Detective you mean season 3 of Twin Peaks, then yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, Devs was like that for me. I saw Devs, when Devs was done, I was like, this is the best terrestrial science fiction series I've ever seen. It's remarkable stuff.
I've heard really good things, and I want to get back into it. Like I said, I think I've just watched the first episode, but I do want to get back into it for sure.
So Devs and Ex Machina are the two like real reasons that I am such a huge fan of his.
So it's just one season. Is it an entire story, or does it end on a cliffhanger?
It's just a limited series. It's an entire story. Yeah.
Then I'll definitely watch that then, for sure.
I'm
looking at this cast, and I am interested.
So what's cool is Kaylee Spaney, who's in Civil War, and she almost got nominated for an Oscar for playing Priscilla in Sofia Coppola's Priscilla film this past year.
Oh, right. Yeah.
She plays a teenage boy in Devs and is fantastic in it, and that's the only thing I'd ever seen her in until I heard she was playing Priscilla, and I was like, wait a second, but that's a girl. So
right on. Interesting.
She's terrific in it. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Tucker, what about you? What is your history with this film, with Alex Garland? Like, lay it on me, man.
Hi, it's me, Tucker. This is my history with this film and Alex Garland.
Hi, Tucker.
Hi, Tucker.
Hey. I really liked Ex Machina. I thought it was really fantastic. I only saw it once, but it blew me away. I had no idea that this film existed until I looked on the calendar on Friday and saw that it was the movie we were watching.
Oh.
So I started watching it, and then when it was over, and it was like straight up directed by your boy Alex Garland, and I was like, wait, is that the Ex Machina guy? And I was like, ooh, on my phone, and my phone was like, yeah, that's the guy. And I couldn't believe it because like I liked that movie so much, but I never really had a post sit with it.
Sure.
I just watched it and then went on to something else. A lot of movies, if I like it that much, I'll look it up on Wikipedia and watch a few YouTube videos about it after,
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason I just never did that with Ex Machina. So like Alex Garland wasn't someone that I was watching, but when I saw that he directed that.
But I think that's really telling that you said that you weren't even aware of this movie until now, and you liked.
This should be on my radar.
You liked his
because I liked
You liked his
Yes.
Academy Award-winning film that was right before it, and that leads really well into the issue with this film's release and why it tanked and why it's highly unlikely that Garland certainly won't, but it's highly unlikely Paramount or anyone else is ever going to make the sequels, which is why they never got made, which is why we're doing it on this show.
Correct.
And the release of this was a huge clusterfuck between Paramount and the powers that be over at Skydance.
Correct.
Because Skydance is a major financier of a lot of Paramount stuff. And David Ellison is like a producer at Skydance. There was a test screening of this early on that bombed so spectacularly that he was worried that it was too intellectual, quote unquote, and too complicated, and demanded that they make changes so that it would appeal to a more broader audience, right? And Scott Rudin at Paramount, we all know he's just the chillest guy in the world. Scott Rudin did one of something that I think is pretty uncharacteristic for somebody who has the reputation that he has.
Right.
He sided with Garland and said, "No, we're not changing a single thing. This film is the way that it's intended to be, and we're not changing anything." And that caused a huge fight between Skydance and Paramount, so much so that they split the difference, and Paramount handled all of the domestic North American distribution for it. And then Skydance sold all the rest of international to Netflix. So they put it out in theaters in the UK for 2 weeks and then threw it on Netflix everywhere but here in the States.
Before it had even come out in the States.
Correct. So by the time it came out in the States, people were just like, what is this thing? We don't really get it. And there wasn't enough word of mouth with a global distribution that it kind of died on the vine, and they yanked it out of theaters 3 weeks later. And then it didn't hit streaming for 2 more years until Hulu, Netflix's main competitor, picked it up for streaming. So that really pumped the brakes on this thing gaining any momentum,
right.
And a life after its box office release, which now, despite the fact that Brett's never heard of it until today, it has attained some sort of Tucker. Sorry,
I'm a fan.
Sorry, that Tucker hadn't heard of it until now, despite the fact that it's kind of gained a cult following in the subsequent years. As one of those films, it's like, oh man, if you haven't seen this is, a lot of people like it better than Ex Machina. It's like, this is his best film. It's one of the best science fiction films of the last decade. And I'm not going to argue with those people. I think it's excellent, but this could have had a much bigger footprint had it not been for that whole kerfuffle between Paramount and Skydance.
I mean, the cast on this thing is incredible. Natalie Portman, Jennifer Jason Leigh, like hot off an Oscar nomination for
I can't wait
The
to
Hateful Eight. Gina Rodriguez, who we've mentioned, the great Tessa Thompson, Oscar Isaac, the ubiquitous Benedict Wong. Like this movie has everything going for it.
Yeah.
Hot screenwriter, hot director, and for Skydance to tank it so spectacularly like that, I mean, really shooting their own profits in the foot by doing that is kind of insane to me.
Well, they got scared because just the year prior they had lost an arm and a couple of legs off of the terrible film Geostorm.
Ooh.
And so that made Skydance very worried that this another science fiction film, people it had a bad test screening, we're going to lose our pants off of this. We got to dump this thing. And Paramount didn't want to dump it because Rudin believed in the film. Because because he had produced Ex Machina as well,
Right.
And so he was like, no, I trust this director. He's an auteur. I'm going to trust his vision and fight for it,
Which, I mean, I'm glad that he did. I don't know what the more populist version of this movie would be, but I know it probably wouldn't be half as good.
Well, and it just shows that if Ellison couldn't tell the difference between this and Geostorm, maybe he needs to get out of the movie business.
Maybe. Well, and I think that's part of the issue is the people running the movie business are businessmen who have really no knowledge of movies outside of those things make money, right?
Well,
So
except for the uber sane and well-adjusted Scott Rudin, yes.
oh God, that man's insane.
I wonder how many telephones he threw during that phone conversation.
Oh God, probably several. Getting on the horn with his secretary. I broke another phone. Bring in a new one. Get that asshole on the phone and bring me a new phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that man is unhinged. So those of you who have read the book, which I think is just Brett and Noah.
I just read it. I just read it recently, just so that I could talk about it on here.
Oh, right on.
I read it back when the movie came out, so my memory is going to be a little fuzzy.
It's a short book. It's a real breeze. I mean, well, it's not a breeze. It's some real heady stuff, but it's not long. Let's say that.
Fair enough. I think that's the headiness of it is probably the reason I haven't picked it up to this point. The my understanding is that when Garland went about to adapting this novel, he just said, "I'm not even going to reread it.
Nope.
I'll just go based on what I remember of it."
Yeah, so that it would retain that dreamlike feeling that the book has, which I think translates really well to the screen, honestly.
Brett, would you agree with that assessment?
I would, yeah. I mean, this might be a hot take, but I like the movie better than the book.
Ooh, I agree, but I know we are both in the minority there, man.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, that's why I was a little hesitant to say that, but it's good to know I'm not the only one. There are dozens
I
of us.
agree. I think there's something special about this, that it's like it's loosely based. You know, he takes the characters and actually gives them names, where in the book they don't have names.
Oh,
Right.
geez.
And he just, and even Vandermeer said, "I love what he did. It's beautiful." He didn't even consult with Vandermeer other than sending him his script and being like, "Is this okay?" You know?
Yeah. Which I mean, if you write a book like that, which has a very dreamlike quality, and again, I'm going based solely off of descriptions I've read of it, you need to, I mean, adaptation is something we talk about on and off here on this podcast, is kind of an art form to be able to take something that someone else has created and make it work for a different medium entirely. And changes are necessary in that process. And it seems like Garland made the right changes while still making the like the heart and the thematic core of the book resonate throughout the adaptation.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a real firm adaptation. You're not adapting someone's memoirs where you really got to get it exact. Otherwise, you're doing it a disservice. With a piece like this, I mean, it's kind of a really interesting approach to be like, I want it to feel like a fever dream, so I'm going to read this once and then not go back over it. This is it, baby.
Right on.
Yeah,
I dig that. And I'm sure there's a lot of like differences between the two, but again, that's
the ending being the biggest one.
Yeah, that is the biggest divergence. Yes, but
I suppose we'll get into that here later. But yeah,
but even Vandermeer said, and Garland too, about how after he was already done and he had submitted it to Vandermeer was like, it's kind of crazy how some of the things that you didn't even know I was going to end up going there, you kind of, for more or less, arrived there at your own as well. You know, there are some themes here in the film version that kind of parallel some of the choices that Vandermeer makes in the subsequent two books.
Because they weren't even out yet when he finished writing this script. So
no, he wrote this script before the first book had even been published. They bought it off the spec script.
That's because what I read. I was right.
They knew it was the beginning of a trilogy, and they're like, "Oh, we're jumping on this early," because Rudin bought the rights to it with the intention of making all three. Maybe not having Garland make all three. Maybe if it had done as well as Ex Machina, he might have. But the intention was to do all three.
Everything I read says that Garland was very disinterested in doing anything but this first movie.
Yes,
and
he just wanted to do this.
Yeah, I'll let anyone else who wants to come in and take over and do any of the rest of them that they want, but I have no interest in that. I have no interest in sequels. I wanted to make this movie, and then I'm going to go make a weird movie about men.
Well, he got to do all the fun stuff, and it's like, I'll let if somebody wants to do the other 2 books, which is a hell of a lot more just talking in rooms, then you go right ahead.
Boy, howdy, we love that.
I think there's a road trip aspect to the second one, I think, as well. I've not read the second or third one. I just read the first one.
Focuses more on the Southern Reach, the company that
yes
is behind everything. So it's called the Southern Reach trilogy. So.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
I think they only get mentioned, like name dropped, a few times in this movie.
Like
yeah. And another thing was, there was a little bit of backlash, but I think it was because people didn't really know the timing of everything, that Natalie Portman's character in the trilogy is part Asian.
Right.
But of course that isn't discussed until the second book, and Garland was going off of the first book anyway.
Right. And Jennifer Jason Leigh, I think, was like part Native American.
Part indigenous, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, but again, yeah, given the timeline, and he said he really just is like, I really just made my choices based on who I saw and who I talked to and who I'd worked with before. So
yeah. he had an A-list star attached, and then another A-list star to play her husband that was A-list partly because he made a movie with him already,
Yeah, a really fucking good movie at that.
Yeah.
So right, like, and I like that. I like the casting. I think everyone is very well cast. But again, I don't have the context from the novels to really know one way or the other. So, but yeah. Anything else we need to say about the development before we hop into the movie proper?
Well, I did take some notes. Let me make sure I had. One of the reasons that Scott Rudin won on this is he had Final Cut.
Right.
So that's why Ellison at Skydance he couldn't do anything. So
no, Final Cut is just the last word in filmmaking. It's what every director wants, and so few directors are ever given anymore.
Yeah, 32 million domestic. You add another 10 from China, and you get 43 million worldwide.
Oh, we'll get into that. We'll get into all that later.
Okay, gotcha.
For sure. But okay. Yeah, no, I mean, and it does not even make its production budget back. So nope, we're not getting any sequels to this one. Let's get into the movie itself. Now, this is the part where we're going to start with the plot in 60 seconds. It's the part where we recount the plot of the film we've just watched in 60 seconds or less. Normally, we would do that at the behest of the D6 of Destiny or the Coin of Justice, or when the coin is retired, what was it, Canadian Quarter of Indifference? Is that what we called it?
That's the one.
Okay. But since we have a guest who was amenable to do so, Noah has agreed to recount the plot of Annihilation in 60 seconds or less. Now, Noah, I need to ask you, are you doing the spoiler version or the spoiler-free version?
Well, you said that spoilers are okay here.
We go full spoilers. We don't even put spoiler warnings at the top of episodes. We're just like, look.
You're intended to watch the film before you listen to. Like, when you see the title, when Thursday hits, you see what we're covering, you watch it, and then you listen to the podcast.
Well, and I feel like I kind of mentioned this earlier. Your audience probably has, for the most part, has probably seen this already.
Ears open.
Yeah.
So I have got 60 seconds on the clock, Noah. I will give you the 30 and 10-second warnings, and your time will start whenever you do.
One of my favorite shows does this same thing, and so I've fantasized about having to do this, but never thought I'd have the be put in the position. So I'm going to give it my best shot.
I'm thrilled to give you this opportunity. Again, I'm ready when you are, sir.
I should have practiced earlier just with my cell phone. All right, go. You just shoot me off like a starting pistol.
Pew pew.
Okay, so Natalie Portman plays Lena, who is a biologist who used to be a soldier. And she comes home one day. She's going to paint her bedroom. Her husband's clearly been missing. And all of a sudden he shows back up, but he's not quite himself. So we cut to her joining an expedition to the Shimmer, And
30 seconds.
We find out that that's where her husband's been, and so her and a group of other women that are all have different vocations that may or may not be useful on this expedition. So they all go into the Shimmer along with a psychologist who's like an adventuress. She played by JJL, and so they
10 seconds.
They all get clipped off one by one by different things, and then they end up at the lighthouse at the end. And you know what? I'm just going to keep it spoiler free. That was wow. That's
is
daunting.
time. It is.
That was intense. That was
daunting.
intense.
You sure that was 60 seconds?
That was 60 seconds.
I feel like he gave you an extra 30 seconds. I feel like that was a long ass 60 seconds, dude.
For a movie that doesn't not a whole lot even happens. That was difficult for me to get through.
That's okay. Look, the first time we ever had anyone else do the plot in 60 besides just Brett and I, it was our friend Joseph. Hi, Joseph. Love that guy.
Hey, buddy.
He did Space Truckers, and he's like going really deep, and he's 10 minutes into the film by the time he gets to the 30-second mark. And we were just like,
Yeah, it's kind of something you learn the first few times you do it. For some reason, our brain wants to like go deep on the first half hour of the movie, and you realize, what am I doing?
Right.
Exposition. Stephen, can you give people a much more succinct synopsis than what I just did?
No, we never do that. No, plot 60 and then we're done. We don't do any more than that. What are you doing, Stephen?
Yep, that's all the plot we
about
do,
to
man.
recount it. Don't do that. We don't do that.
They gotta watch it, man. That's part of the thing.
Okay, then.
You're gonna watch it anyway.
The plot in 60 is that's why it's so fun.
I feel like 30 seconds of my 60 seconds were unintelligible.
That's normal.
You know what?
That's normal.
I've
done plenty of them where the entire 60 seconds is unintelligible. So
my favorite is still Speed Racer. That will always be my favorite plot in 60, just in terms of sheer unintelligibility.
There's a lot of stuff that happens in that, so you'd have to like speed race through that 60 seconds.
Yeah, and I did it. Normally, I would pull up the Wikipedia page to sort of remind myself of like the plot points. I didn't do that time.
Nope.
And it was a fever dream. That entire 60 seconds was a fever dream.
Yeah.
So yeah, go listen to our Speed Racer episode to hear my
please do.
60.
That one, God, it remains one of my favorites for a good reason.
I was gonna say, hey Tucker, why don't you find that and just patch a little bit of it in right here so that our listeners can listen to it. And then I remembered that I'm Tucker and I would have to do that. So
it's not gonna happen.
Just go back and listen to it. I'm not going to do that.
Enough when I say the wrong name, but you almost said the wrong name for yourself.
Yeah, well, it happens. I am Brett, so my name is Brett.
What?
Last time I said,
so confused.
Yep.
Welcome to my world.
Hi, it's me, Brett.
I mean, really,
stop doing that.
When you get right down to it, aren't we all Brett? At the end of the day.
Just a little bit.
We're all a little bit Brett.
There's a little bit of
Sometimes
Brett
I feel a little Brett. I was feeling a little Brett earlier today.
I don't even know what that means.
And boy, do we love it when there's a little bit of Brett in all of us.
Yeah, we love it.
Guys, you're going to make me spread full Brett.
Good night, everybody.
You have to dial it back a little bit. Oof, it's getting spicy.
So Natalie Portman, star of this movie. What's everybody's entry point for Natalie Portman? Is it episode 1, or is there an earlier entry point for some of you?
You don't phrase it that way after the conversation we just had for you, Stephen.
What's get your mind out of the gutter is all I have to say.
The thing is, like, you helped to get our minds in the gutter. You participated in that, and then you're going to phrase it that way, like right after. Come on, man.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
They knew.
Oh, I just got it. He said entry point.
Yeah.
I just got it. It takes me a minute.
Well, look, I didn't get it right away either. Piers and Tucker, you're the only one with your mind in the gutter. I didn't make that
answer your
right
question,
away.
Stephen, Leon the Professional.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ditto.
Future episode of this podcast, Leon the Professional, despite Tucker's best wishes.
I am sick that week. Hey, Noah, you can guest on that. I'm sick that week.
I think that movie was very, very good. I didn't know that it was supposed to have a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, and that's why you should guess, so I don't have to come.
Count me in. I've been dying to watch it again. So
for its connection to Resident Evil. That's why I would like it. There's a strong connection to Resident Evil.
Wait, it
Paul
does? How?
W.S.
What?
Anderson?
Well, Leon, very clearly, is the main connection, the name Leon. And then, like, the special pistol that Leon gets that you can get in in all of the games, really, honestly, is called the Matilda.
So, oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
The more you know.
The creator of Resident Evil is a big fan of those movies, or that movie.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so he put references.
It is a good movie, but I do not like it.
Fair enough.
So anyway, Annihilation.
Straight up, I know. So Natalie Portman, yeah, great. So she wins her Oscar in 2011 for the 2010 film Black Swan, and kind of goes on a weird run after that, like much more populist fare after that. No Strings Attached, Your Highness, Thor.
I love that Steven thinks Your Highness is popular fare.
Well, it's populist, but not popular.
It was made for the masses. It just never caught on. You guys, every time that she was getting interviewed in Annihilation and she was sitting in that chair, I just wanted it to be like Chris Parnell across from her, and she'd do Natalie's rap from the SNL digital short. Maybe.
Oh yes. Oh yeah, so we Memby
smashes him with the chair. Every time I saw her like that, I was like, "Oh, can we just somebody do me like an edit of that with this spliced in there as well?" Like
that would be rad as hell. She does Thor: The Dark World, Knight of Cups, Terrence Malick film, and then she starts tipping into more Oscar baity stuff again. Something called The Heyday of Insensitive Bastards, which I have never heard of before.
I like that title.
It's a great title. A Tale of Love and Darkness, Jane Got a Gun, Jackie, Planetarium.
So Jackie got her another nomination.
It did. And then she does Song to Song, which got some buzz, but I don't think got any acting nominations at least.
That was another Malick.
Okay, yeah, that's why. And then Annihilation, her next film is Annihilation. She does that and Vox Lux in the same year. So, I mean, she's not hurting for a hit. I guess not really hurting for a hit at this point, but it's been a while since she's had one.
I think she's been able to, do whatever she wants for a while.
Yeah.
Because I think even the smaller projects, kind of off the map projects, sometimes she sort of brings, just her being in them brings them to the forefront.
Absolutely.
And I think that was part of the goal here with this too. I mean, you look at the one sheet for it, and she is the only name above the title.
Yeah,
it's Natalie Portman, and then she's the main character on the poster, and then Annihilation beneath it. So I
mean, yeah, who else do you even need though? Like, she's a bona fide movie star. Black Swan had the same marketing, like just Natalie Portman, Black Swan. Her face, that's it. That's all you need.
And she was already a star at that point. Yeah, exactly. She had already been nominated for Closer at that point. So.
Right. So yeah, she is very easily someone who I would go to see a movie because she's in it. I think a lot of people are also that way. I think the marketing playing to her strength, or playing to her is really smart. Maybe the smartest thing they did with the marketing on this one. But by the same token, if you're not selling the premise, you can't sell everything on a star these days, particularly these days when star power is kind of not really something anyone considers anymore, really.
Yeah, the star no longer is the box office draw for the most part anymore. But think about it at this time, had audiences ever seen her in this mode before with an AK-47? Playing this kind of character before? V for Vendetta is the closest thing to that, and she's not the one spurring on the action in that film. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I mean, she's packing heat and Leon the Professional, but
that's also different. It's way, way different, I think.
So I think that was part of the draw also, is not only is it Natalie Portman, A-list star, ingenue, but also it's Natalie Portman like you've never seen her before. Think about like when Emily Blunt did Sicario. Same thing. It's this is Emily Blunt like you've never seen her before. That's kind of what this was too. It's like she's wearing fatigues and carrying a Kalashnikov or whatever.
Right. Big ass gun. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know anything about guns.
Yeah, same. Neither do I.
Yeah, so I feel like that was, at least to some degree, a selling point here. Was like, this is that actress that you love, that you and you know her for being gorgeous. Here's her throwing you a curveball with a science fiction shoot 'em up, which is kind of what this was marketed as well. There's more
Which it's
action in
not,
this,
but yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
So,
you know, some animals do get wasted with them guns, but yeah.
Yeah,
I gotta say that I'm glad that I never saw a trailer for this. I'm glad I never knew it existed, because it was so nice to go in blind, because there's this movie, switches gears so many times and just becomes something completely different. And like, if I'd seen a trailer for it or something, I would have been ready for at least some of that. And I'm glad that I just went into it blind, because I'm like, okay, this is a lady and there's her husband, and okay, that's weird. And okay, and that's weird. It just, you keep going further and further down the rabbit hole of this movie. It's fantastic to not know where the fuck you're going.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it stands up to rewatch too, because it's one of those movies where there's so many details that your eye is not drawn to that you pick up on subsequent watchings. Like, this is the first time I picked up the tattoo. The first time I really clocked the tattoo.
Yeah.
Which again, it's there, it's very clearly there, but then it's not, your attention's never drawn directly to it, so it's easy to miss if you're not paying close enough attention.
Yeah.
Which most people aren't really paying attention when they watch movies these days anymore. And they got their phones and
Hey, I didn't look at my phone once when I watched this movie.
Same.
This was a really rewarding rewatch. I think this is the 4th time I've seen it. And one of the things that really stuck out to me this time is Jennifer Jason Leigh.
We love her.
And that's one of the questions, that's one of the reasons I texted you earlier today and asked about spoilers. Is because one of the things that kills me about Jennifer Jason Leigh's performance in this film is the first couple times I watched it, you see the way she's interacting for the first half of the movie, and you think, this is a very icy, cold, bureaucratic, emotionless woman who's masking her real intentions and everything. And then knowing what you know about her character after you've seen the film, you rewatch it, and her performance, it's so subtle, because that you want the audience to think that at first, but knowing what we know now, you rewatch it and you think, no, that's not her bag. She's depressed, hopeless. She has a terminal illness. Spoilers, I guess. She has a terminal illness, and she's depressed and hopeless. Why wouldn't she want to go into the Shimmer? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Like, she has nothing left here. Like, why not? Yeah.
What might seem as indifference or callousness is really just, she's severely depressed, and just she's more listless than anything else when she's having those conversations with her at first, where you know.
But because she's in the leadership role, she doesn't have the camaraderie that the other 4 have, who are all talking with each other. Like the scene with Lena and Shepard in the boat, where Shepard's kind of laying out, okay, well, what's her deal? And Shepard's kind of laying it out for her. Like, I lost a daughter, you've lost a husband, quote unquote, because that's what she's basically told them. Yeah. Which, I mean, technically true. Or is it? Question mark.
We'll get there.
It is. That's not ambiguous. I don't.
Right.
There's so much ambiguity. That's not
true.
ambiguous.
That is
her OG husband is straight up dead.
Yeah, he Foss-bombed in his ass.
What's ambiguous is she or not?
Right.
Well, she shimmers at the end, so obviously.
But maybe that's just an effect that that exposure to the Shimmer had to her.
Maybe
because the Shimmer mutates at a genetic level.
Exactly. But you know what? Ambiguous endings are rad as shit.
Yes, correct. I agree, which is why I like Men, which is why I like a lot of Alex Garland stuff.
That's brave of you to admit on this podcast. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. I know it's low hanging fruit, but like, god damn it, like, again, I'm mad at myself for that joke, but
it always takes me time to get jokes.
I couldn't pass it up, you guys. Woof.
I understand.
It's been so long since I've had a win.
And see, I've been spending this entire podcast not making the low-hanging Civil War joke of like, why would Marvel remake Civil War? Why would this be the one movie they would remake? Captain America's not even in it.
Yeah. I mean, Kirsten Dunst is in it, but like she's MJ. Like that's a whole different franchise.
Yeah, and she's not even our MJ. She's someone else's MJ.
No, she's from a different universe.
That's. I'm not well versed in Spider-Man, so but at least I get that.
Right.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah,
it's all good.
Jennifer Jason Leigh is just so good in this film. In fact, this fourth rewatch for me, I was like, maybe she's actually the best in the whole film. Honestly, I might actually like her more than Portman in this.
I mean, there's a case to be made for sure. I think the lead three, Portman, Lee, and Thompson, are all knocking it out of the park. Like you get exactly what you expect from those actresses in an Alex Garland film. Like he is keeping them at their A game, and I think this might be one of Tessa Thompson's best performances.
Well,
I wish we had more with her, honestly.
Yeah,
because I really like what she does in this film, but it sucks that she kind of goes out 2/3 of the way through, because I was really digging what she was doing. I love how she goes out. That was rad.
That scene is fantastic.
I really appreciated that a lot of the stuff in this film, when they could, it was practical. And the start of that transformation was practical, and it looked fantastic.
Looks so
Garland,
good.
The bear close up, fantastic. So much good practical shit in this movie.
Garland is really good at juxtaposing his practical effects with his CGI effects and really blending them in a really nice way. But no, you're right. Tessa Thompson, for as much as we do get from her, we don't get enough of her. And to borrow one of Steven's questions, what was your entry point to Tessa Thompson? Because if I'm not mistaken, this was mine.
I think Veronica Mars for me.
Oh, it would have been Veronica Mars then. Yeah, I don't remember her in that, but I've seen it, so I guess that's my entry point.
Season 2, she's Wallace's girlfriend.
I've never seen it. My wife watched that, but I've not seen it. I think this was my entry point to her.
So for Tucker and me, it's Veronica Mars. For you and Brett, it's Annihilation.
No, here's the deal. I don't remember her in Veronica Mars, though, so I think the first Creed movie would be my official entry point.
Was that before this?
And then I saw her in Thor. The first one was 2015 was the first Creed.
Huh. Well, I guess that was actually my entry point for her. I just didn't realize it.
Yeah, dude, she's great in all three of those movies. She's really good, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then she started hitting Creed, Selma, Creed, Thor Ragnarok, Sorry to Bother You, which she's phenomenal.
What year was Sorry to Bother You? Do you have that there?
It comes out 2018, the same year as this film.
I think that's why I thought this was my entry point for her, because I remember them both coming out the same year and me being really impressed with her in both of them. Yeah.
She's honestly, I think those are, when I said Annihilation, maybe her best work, a part of me is like, Sorry to Bother You. And I was like,
yeah, possibly. I think her best work is
close.
Is Passing. That's her best work.
Oh, which I have not seen.
Oh, well,
I have not.
It's fantastic. It's really, really fantastic. It's Jeff Nichols.
Okay, I'll check that out. But yeah, no, love Tessa Thompson. Excited for her to keep being in everything. Honestly, would love to see more work from her. Honestly, she's fantastic.
She's in every Janelle Monáe video as well.
That's good.
Well, they were a couple for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still are, but they were a couple for a while. No, I don't think they are either. But yeah, they dated for a hot minute, so that would explain that. But yeah.
Well, I'm glad that they broke up so that me and Janelle Monáe can get together. No big deal. No big deal.
Speaking of liking men, how did Oscar Isaac make you feel in this movie? Some kind of way, or?
Oscar Isaac Prime is Llewyn Davis for me. So no, he looked all right in this, but I don't really like a lot of product in the hair, and when it looks greasy like that, that's just not attractive to me. But scruffy Llewyn Davis, the natural look on that boy, ooh-wee. Yeah. Fuck yeah, dude.
I like the look that he gives after Kane Prime has Foss-bombed himself, and the mimic steps forward and like turns around and looks at the camera. Like, that's a good look. I like that.
I mean, he's always a handsome boy. I'm just saying, like in this one, it didn't do it for me as much as other.
No, I think he's a real hunk in this one. Although I am partial to him in Ex Machina because he looks identical to my favorite rapper of all time, his name's Kool AD. He's the other dude from Das Racist. I don't know if you remember Das Racist.
Oh yeah,
I do not.
Yeah.
Combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell guys. Well, they actually have good songs. That was just a joke song, but yeah. Anyway, he looks just like the rapper from Das Racist.
Yeah, he kind of does. That's kind of incredible.
Yeah, I dug his look in that movie too.
Yeah, he's got so many different looks. Man,
I really again, him in that Bourne movie we watched too, when he was in that cabin and like the drone came for him.
What movie?
He was like the best part of that movie, The Bourne Legacy.
The Bourne Legacy.
Oh, The Bourne Legacy.
He is the best part of that movie. And I mean,
it's not a bad movie. It's not a great movie, but it's not bad. It's not bad. It's watchable, is what I'm saying. And the Oscar Isaac of it all makes it more watchable. Even though it's brief, it's fantastic.
His character in this is very one note. Like, he does not have to do very much, but what he's doing, yeah, he could sleepwalk through it, but he's really good at it. I mean,
he's doing it very well. Yeah,
that can't be easy. It's just he's only has to do one thing. Luckily, he's got that gear in his bag. He can use it.
I mean, it's doing nothing is deceptively difficult. Like he's doing this kind of very placid, passive. I mean, even in the scenes where he's Kane, he's still he feels very detached. I mean, we get the reveal that she's been having an affair and he knows about it, and that's presumably why he volunteers to go into the Shimmer at all.
At least you get the impression that she thinks that's why he's doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't really understand the inclusion of that plot element. I don't think that it really did anything for the stories or the characters.
Well, for me,
it took me out of the movie a bit.
For me,
I was like, can we get on with this so we can get back to the movie?
For me, it makes me wonder. I think it helps because you're wondering, if she had this affair and she was cheating on her husband and he's been missing for this long, like, why does she want to go in there? Like their marriage was already fractured. So like, what is it like? Is it guilt that's driving her to go in there too? Because she knows it's probably a suicide mission also.
Or an attempt to salvage something that she broke, and maybe there's a guilt element to it.
Exactly.
Right.
So I think that little backstory that it does help at least to draw some conclusions about characters' motivations, or at least the psychology of them.
I just think for me it felt so random, and in this movie they jump around a lot with flashbacks, and it works most of the time. But this one didn't work for me, I think, mostly because it's kind of in the back half of the movie. And the only time we ever see that character is like in one scene in like the first 10 minutes of the film. I'd forgotten that dude even existed until she was jumping up and down on him, honestly.
Yeah, I was going to say there's when he invites her over to the house and she says, I got to paint the bedroom.
I don't remember that.
There's that scene at the very beginning.
I believe you that it's there.
Scene.
He's wearing a lot more clothes in that intro scene than he is later on in the movie.
I just remember the scene where they're like in the office and like he has some papers or something, and I don't know. It kind of seemed weird, but like not enough to where I was like, I wonder what this guy's deal is.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. It definitely could have been omitted from the film, and I don't think you lose anything. But this movie's...
I think Ellison wanted it omitted, honestly.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, like why do we need this?
Trying to make her seem a little more sympathetic as a character.
That's probably what that was alluding to then. You're right. But like, honestly, the movie's under 2 hours. It's not like you needed to cut it for time reasons. Why not leave it in there if it layers your character at least a little bit better?
I mean,
I feel like it didn't throw the whole movie off for me, but it did just kind of... I almost looked at my phone. I didn't look at my phone. I didn't, but I almost looked at my phone.
Like, oh god, a sex scene again. Ugh, let's
No, I didn't mind, but then I was like, oh, it's that guy? But why? And do I care?
He's like one of 3 men in this movie, like
really.
and it's not going to be Benedict Wong.
It's not going to be.
It was a shrug moment, really. I was like, okay, I guess
Yeah.
this is a thing we could do, I guess.
But I mean, and I agree. I think it gives her a little more nuance as a character, and it gives her at least a hint of some motivation as to why she might want to be in there. Now, again, those are never explicitly stated, but I don't necessarily feel like that's a bad thing.
No, me either. And like, man, if you're an audience that needs all your protagonists to be ultra sympathetic in order for you to like care about what happens to them, for there to be stakes involved, then woof, magoof. What are you doing here, man?
I don't know. I just think that this film, there's a lot going on in the stakes department anyway.
Exactly.
And while I agree that it's not an addition to the film that throws the film off of its track at all.
Yeah.
But it's still, I don't know, like I could have done without it is what I'm saying. I said I almost got my point. I didn't get it.
I wasn't directing that criticism toward you as much as it was directed toward David Ellison.
Oh, well, I feel what he feels.
It's more self-sabotage.
I don't know how.
Which is what the movie talks about. It's kind of
it's self-destruction. I mean, Jennifer Jason Leigh has a whole like mini monologue about self-destruction.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that entire conversation
when they're up in the tower,
like a core of the movie, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's really, I mean, that she self-destructed her relationship, so that's that's why that resonates with her, and I think that leads her to make the decisions that she makes later in the film.
And when they're having that conversation, as an audience, we don't know about Ventress's diagnosis.
Not yet. Yeah,
it's kind of interesting when she immediately takes umbrage with her saying something about suicide mission. She's like, "Wait, you think this is a suicide mission?" She's like, "It's not suicide as our penchant. We don't have a penchant for killing ourselves as much as it's self-destruction more than anything else."
Right.
You know, and that's a little more poignant again on a subsequent rewatch when you understand what Ventress's character is going through in that moment.
Yeah.
This film gives a lot. The more you allow it the time to.
Yeah. It's like I said, it stands up to subsequent rewatch. Like knowing those twists as they come is nice to be able to start to put those pieces together. Like I said, this is like probably my 3rd or 4th time watching this, and it gets better for me every time I watch it, for sure.
I think I'd watch it again if it were like streaming on one of the services that I subscribe to.
It's on Pluto for free.
Yeah,
without ads.
No,
yeah,
it's on Peacock.
It's on Peacock?
Yeah,
I have.
That's how I watched it.
And
oh, really?
That's well. I'm glad I rented it. Thanks, Steven.
Peacock didn't give me the option, but I rented it on Prime, and it had like some promo where it only cost me 4 cents.
Oh, nice!
I didn't get
and
that
I was
promo.
Like, 4 cents? Hell yeah, let's do it. 4 cents.
Wait a minute. You know, some things on Peacock and Paramount Plus you can only watch on your TV.
You know what? No, I misspoke. It's on the library app Canopy. That's how I watched it.
Well, I didn't know it was on Canopy either because I would have watched it on there.
Canopy with K?
I'm rewatching Great Minds with Dan Harmon on Canopy right now.
It's also on Hoopla, which is another library app. That one you can only watch on devices, but if you have the ability to cast, then you can cast it to your television.
Man, I can't believe you were trying to watch an Alex Garland movie on your friggin' phone.
I wasn't.
Not you.
Oh.
Who was?
You.
Nah, dude, I watched it on my 4K display. 53 inch.
We're all pretty opposed to watching movies on our phone.
I was sitting about 3 feet from the screen.
Oh, well, that's not good. Get a cricket.
No, it's fantastic. No. That's how I have it set up, don't you see?
It's his way of trying to recreate the theatrical experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's another fun thing about the dreamlike qualities of this movie is that I saw it the Saturday after it opened, and I was one of the most hungover moments of my entire life, to where I very well should have was probably still drunk. And so it was a very hazy strange experience that is kind of fitting. Like now that I'm sober, it's different.
Right.
I look at things differently now, but still.
I liked. I would have liked to have seen this in the movie theater. And so, like when I watched it last night, some films, like I'll start watching them on my TV, and I'll be like, "Oh man, I want to go outside and have a smoke." And some movies, it's not a big deal if I'm just like, "All right, I'll continue it on my phone while I go do that." But this movie, no, I had to like have an intermission and go outside. Like it felt too big to watch on my phone. Like I didn't feel like I'd be getting even close to the experience I should be getting.
It deserves it. Brett, didn't you say that you saw it in the theater as well?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, and talk to me about the rewarding nature of seeing something like this on such a big screen.
Well, so funny story. I don't think I liked it as much the first time.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm weird like that. Like sometimes movies like this, I have to see multiple times to really get it, which Steven right now is going, well, that's why you should watch Popeye more often. But like
the Robert Altman Popeye.
Yup.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
That movie's a fucking masterpiece.
I should have been on that episode because that was the first movie I watched when I was a kid. I was obsessed with Robin Williams, and I was obsessed with Harry Nilsson as well. So anyway, that's a digression I had to make.
Yeah. Well, so like, I don't know. Like sometimes, but like at the same time, as speaking of Popeye, sometimes I just don't like a movie so much I don't want to watch it again. But
yeah,
there's, I don't know. I mean, I clearly liked it enough to read the book. So
I'm picturing Brett in the theater, arms crossed, nonplussed look on his face, like, whatever, it's fine. I mean, it's whatever. Like, a bunch of chicks with guns. I mean,
no.
They put their bags down a lot. Half this movie's them putting their bags down.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
That was 2018, Brett, for sure.
I don't even get it. Like, it's not like their comms are going to work anyway. This is a futile effort.
I mean, didn't they learn anything from the last 3 expeditions that went into this thing?
12 expeditions.
Oh, right. Okay. Apparently, I need to watch it a little closer next time.
Yeah, you do.
But yeah, visually, man, this thing is gorgeous.
This movie looks beautiful. The art direction, the cinematography, phenomenal.
I'm kind of mixed on the cinematography, actually, because I thought some of it was really, really good, but I think some of it was maybe a little too much.
Who's the cinematographer on this, Steven? Do you have it pulled up?
I do. It's Rob Hardy.
Oh,
it's like he's really, really good at it, but he's also maybe trying a little too hard sometimes. It felt like for me. Like
you saw a 4K transfer of this, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah. So
and it does look good. It's just I question some of the cinematography. It just looks kind of off to me. A lot of times when there's dialogue, and he'll shoot it to where the camera kind of moves alongside the character. But then, like, when the character gets to the edge of the screen, they just kind of sit there, and that's weird. And there's like there's nothing else on this, nothing else interesting to look at on the screen. It's just like whatever, and the character's way over here, and like that's cool every once in a while. But I felt like with every dialogue scene with more than like 2 characters, like that's all they were doing, and it just got kind of old for
like
me.
But the camera is meandering
a
little bit.
Yeah, like that's a minor nitpick because it wasn't enough to take me out of the movie or even to make me not like the movie. It's just I noticed it a few times. I was like, that's kind of odd, but all right, cool.
Whatever. I will tell you, Tucker, in addition to being Garland's regular cinematographer, he also directed a little movie that I know you love that we're going to be covering behind the paywall relatively soon called The Book of Clarence.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Oh, I wanted to see that.
Yeah,
it's really good.
He shot that one. We're probably going to do that for my Oops All Christianity Corner show behind the paywall.
We absolutely are. I've already decided, so.
Yeah. Tucker's already put it on the calendar, so yeah. But yeah, no, I love the art direction. Like I love how, particularly with all the stuff with the fungus, the lichens and shit,
Ooh, yeah, those the
the
flowers.
multicolors. Yes,
flowers. When they're talking about how those flowers shouldn't be able to exist on the same plant together because they're different species and everything. Those flowers are gorgeous, and I mean they're all over the place.
yeah.
I mean the sets are just littered with them, especially like you said, the lichens and everything. Like it looked like a mural. It's just, man, the color choices. I mean, there's so many categories I feel like this could have been nominated in, and production design and art direction is one of them.
Sound design as well.
Yeah.
Visual
Yeah,
effects.
the sound. I was going to say something about the sound design too. I thought it was really effective.
Mm-hmm.
I had mine set on 5.1, which my sound bar replicates pretty well, about as well as you can. And it sounded really good. I never had trouble hearing the dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded. Hey, you guys know what though? Speaking of the sound, this is more about the music.
don't.
But speaking of the music,
I was hoping we
that
get
main theme that plays through that acoustic guitar that's like
Mm-hmm.
do 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 do. It's just like kind of doing a finger pluck thing. I wrote that song in 2007. A very, very similar song. And you can go to my YouTube, youtube.com/ice909, ICENINE, the number 0 and the number 9, and listen to it's fucking called something.
Fucking called
What the shit
something.
is that song called, Steven?
I don't know, man. I'm pulling up your.
It's called A Loss for Words. A Loss for Words is what it's called.
So it sounds like you've got a bone to pick with Ben Salisbury and
No,
Farah.
I don't, because like it's not close enough to where I would ever in a million years think that someone was ripping off my little song that I made almost 20 years ago that like 10 people heard.
Uh-huh.
But it's just uncanny how similar some of the transitions, and there's a lot of it's all the same notes. They're just
the exact sort of
slightly in a
thing
different
people
way.
do rip off, though. Like they go find tiny little YouTube channel, and like nobody will know if I rip this off. And...
No, but also, people be having similar ideas, man. Like you have keys and scales in music for a reason because those notes go together well.
You're right. There's nothing new under the sun.
Correct.
I firmly believe it's coincidence. I don't think anybody's stealing my music. I just could not believe how similar some of it was. Just that main theme.
I'm adding it to the show notes for you. So
sure, yeah.
That's a great idea. Well, then your song must be really good because I love the music in this.
It's okay. No, the theme in this was better. It just had a lot of elements from my song, is what I'm saying. It's way better. Way better. Like every way.
The music in this is really great. It's Ben Salisbury and Jeff Barrow who did the music for Ex Machina, which is one of my favorite scores in a long time. And man, it's got some similar like electronic elements to that, but this is much more sparse. This is much more vibes based, much more moody.
I think it really crescendos in the tone of the music throughout the entire film. By the time you get to the end, it's something completely different than it was.
By the time you get to the lighthouse scene, you've really got a lot of like discordant stuff happening.
You're like, how did we get here from an acoustic guitar?
Yeah, and a lot of like real grating, overdriven sounds. So like processed guitars. It's just
over distorted drums and stuff.
Yeah, just really cool score here. But it again, it's really sparse. But I think that's a really, it helps to build the mood.
In the lighthouse scene, I mentioned this in the group chat earlier. That's one of the most ubiquitous spooky video sounds on TikTok. Somebody just took that, and like if there's a spooky video on TikTok, it's using that music.
Oh, really?
So do you think Annihilation is being seen more now because of that?
No, because I doubt anybody knows it's from that.
Knows that it's from it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I didn't realize it either until I watched the movie, and I was like, wait a minute.
That's
yeah.
Yeah, I love the music. Particularly again, I think it's the theme that you're talking about, Brett. That theme at the end, during the fight scene between Lena and the doppelganger. Like that, it's got like a Zimmer element in that you kind of have like the big kind of bass thing, but it's not done in like that overly obnoxious, simplistic Zimmer like. And I mean, no disrespect to Zimmer, but he tends to rely on the wah a lot more these days than he used to.
It's very heavy, resonant bass. Whereas with this, it's not real bassy. It's more like just like overdriven, like real static feeling. You know,
definitely, yeah. And I think it works really well for the scene. I think it lines up. I don't know. It really just kind of puts you in, and it's so discordant in certain ways that it really like creates this sense of unease that's amplified by the visuals that we're seeing on the screen. The fact that this thing looks so human and yet so not, like that almost uncanny valley aspect of it, but it's all
intentionally.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Not in like a lawnmower man, Jeff Fahey kind of way.
Correct. Yeah. It looks good, but also off-putting. Not off-putting because of the design or the effects, but off-putting just in the design of the thing, like how it looks. So no, I love that scene. I love the ending of this movie. The entire set piece at the lighthouse is just absolutely incredible. I love it so much.
Yeah, where she's tunneling down into what in the book they she refers to as a tower and not a tunnel. But
a long spiral staircase with writing on the wall, and there's like a creature down there, like
crawler, as they call
the crawler. Yeah.
But really, like that once they get to the lighthouse there, that last half hour or so, I mean, it's real hold your breath kind of stuff, and the music really adds to it. And gosh, that little tunnel is pretty terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
like so many of the this movie is a psychological horror film, and I think the horror visuals really get ramped up in that last set piece there. I mean, you've got the bear, which is a horrific looking thing, and I don't want to minimize that because that thing is terrifying. And the fact that it's screaming in human voice is somehow the scariest thing about
unhinged. It's fucking unhinged.
Like it opens its mouth to roar and it's screaming, "Help me," in the voice of their lost colleague.
You notice like part of its skull was like made up of a human skull, like part of a human skull on one side. I thought that was interesting because it was like everything is fused in this world. And so at some point he killed somebody and like their skull fused into him, I guess.
For all we know, it's her. Yeah.
Right? It could be her.
And that's another improvement from the book. Like in the book, it's just he screams in a human voice.
Yeah, from the distance too. Yeah,
from a distance. Yeah.
And
so in this one, they add they can mimic a human voice, which is just 10 times creepier.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that Tessa Thompson says about like it absorbing her like final dying thoughts, and that's the part of her that lives on through this creature.
Yeah.
Is like that's where the existential horror starts like getting cranked for me, and then it just doesn't stop cranking until we're done. Like, but that just is existentially horrifying. That notion that your last thoughts being like fear and dread and horror, and that being the thing that survives on after you pass. Like, God, that freaks me out.
Of the $32 million worth of people who went and saw this film, I believe that is the scene that really resonated with most people. That was the one word of mouth thing that the film had, is like, you're not gonna believe this one scene with this fucked up bear.
Oh, the bear is one thing. You guys, I'm a horror guy, right? So I've seen all the things and like I can look at all the stuff.
Right.
But because of the way that this film works, the way that it kind of gains momentum, when you get to the point in the film where they're showing the video of Oscar Isaac cutting the dude's stomach open,
oh my God,
it wasn't even the way it looked, it wasn't even how gory it was just how intense the film had made itself at that point. I couldn't look. I covered my fucking eyes, you guys.
Oh man,
I covered my eyes. This guy.
It
Man,
worked.
the little sprinkling
That's
of body
fantastic.
horror in this movie is fantastic.
Because there's multiple instances of it.
Because I've seen grosser stuff. I've seen grosser stuff than that. But just the way the film got us there, and then when we got to that spot, it had it right where it wanted.
It already
us,
ratcheted
man.
it up for you.
Yes.
The look on Oscar Isaac's face, the look on the other guy's face whose stomach's getting hacked into, like it's
like I thought I was going crazy for him. I had to look away. I was like, no, dude. Like,
and the look on the women's faces at how like horrified they are by looking at it, and that that it all adds to it.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear like I saw a YouTube video with Joseph Kahn where he spent about a half an hour breaking down one scene from Detention. And I would love to have Alex Garland do that just for that scene.
The bear scene. Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, the bear scene, but for me, the cutting open the
20
stomach
minutes
scene.
Also. Woof.
I just want to hear him give me about 30 minutes on like a 5-minute scene.
Yeah.
Where they hack the dude's stomach apart and it's all.
Yes, I want to know everything about that from conception to execution to intention. I want to know
director's commentary somewhere, maybe.
Yes. But like an extended one.
Yeah, you really want some
like where they stop the movie and talk for like a half an hour and then continue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
It's crazy. The body horror in this movie has inspired a lot of sci-fi literature, especially in the tabletop RPG world.
Really?
For some reason, I don't know why. Like, because the scene where they find the body plastered against the wall, it's like the skeleton, more or less. Not really. It's part skeleton, like it's partially decayed.
Right.
But, it's got the plants and the fungus and all that.
And it's like a fungus, yeah.
Like
that's beautiful, man.
That's an image I've seen referenced a lot in like multiple places.
Yeah, I mean, it was in The Last of Us.
That too.
There's
The Last of Us uses it as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it Annihilation might not have done that great at the box office, but man, its influence is like everywhere.
Yeah.
The right people saw it and loved it, and that's why we're here.
Well, and that's another thing. The critics' consensus was very positive, but audiences were just so mixed on it.
Right. Which I think that tends to be the chalice that Alex Garland, tends to court for himself, tends to serve him with himself with.
And one of the biggest problems with that is when you hear that critics loved it, audiences didn't care for it so much, that 9 times out of 10, that is marketing.
Mm-hmm.
That is the production company marketing it poorly. Either we're afraid of what audiences are going to think, so we're going to market it totally different than what it is, which is probably the case here, or they didn't really know what they had, and so they didn't know how to market it.
I think it's a combination of both of those, honestly.
I think it's telling that Ex Machina was A24. This was Paramount and Skydance, and after this, Garland went straight back to A24,
and he's pretty much stayed there since. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think that he knew he had something special on his hands, and just Paramount butt fucked it. Honestly, the release.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna, in a lot of cases like this too. I think it comes down to what did it open against as well.
That is a good question.
We will get there.
Yeah, okay.
We'll get there.
I was about to say, what a segue.
Are we pivoting? Are we? Because I want to talk about the ending more.
That was not my intention. No, I was just saying that I think that based on the context of the conversation we were just having, I think it would also be fair to say that the films that are also coming out or holding over at the box office enter into it as well.
Yeah, we will discuss that toward the end of the episode, but I want to talk the ending because I love this ending. Mm-hmm. Everything at the lighthouse is absolutely fucking incredible. The visuals of that scene are unbelievable. The crystalline trees and all of that. Like from the moment she puts her backpack down on the beach and starts walking, I am like ensconced.
That's the last backpack that gets put down in this movie.
It is
like that's the last check. Yes. All done. I would, I don't think you'd survive a drinking game where you take a shot every time they put their fucking bags down.
No,
it's like the beginning of every scene is that, well, we're at a place.
Got to ship out.
Put the bags down.
Yeah.
Let's bill it here, I guess. Bags down.
Which I appreciated because that's very realistic. That's exactly what you would fucking do in that situation. So I
particularly if
appreciated
you've been
that.
walking for hours. Yeah.
I did just think it was funny though how many times we saw it. Yeah.
But yeah,
I feel like after a few times it's implied, but like that's cool, Alex Garland. I enjoyed seeing it.
The ending of this movie is so. Another thing that's so impressive about the ending of this film is that there are long stretches where there is no dialogue, but there's still a lot of things being conveyed, like that little dance that they do, where the Shimmer version of her is mimicking her movements, mirroring her movements. And I mean, there's long stretches where it's just nothing but that score going, vroom, vroom, and no one's saying anything. But like I said, so much information is still being conveyed. And those are some of my favorite endings, is when you don't need any dialogue. We all of the dialogue has built up to this. Now it's a big climax where you just watch it unfold.
Right. And God, it's so beautiful. It's so gorgeous. The scene so apparently the girl that plays the student at the beginning of the film was the girl who played Natalie Portman's double. The quote humanoid is what they call her. Sonoyo Mizuno is the actress's name.
So she's in Ex Machina and Devs. She's the main excuse me, she's the main character in Devs, and she's the Japanese assistant who turns out to be a robot.
That's right.
That's right. In Ex Machina. Yeah.
She's also the voice of the police operator in Men, and she has a role in Civil War. So she's a Garland. She's a Garland.
She's part of that stable, dude. She's in the Garland stable.
Yeah.
And we love to see it, truly.
Yeah.
I love it when directors like find their people, like find their group and bring them back every time. I'm a big sucker for that.
Mizuno's
that's what I like
with him in everything.
Tucker.
I was gonna say that's what I like about the Coen Brothers films, because they do bring a lot of people back, but they also throw a lot of new people. They really mix it up, but like they still, I don't know. It's like, you have the Avengers, and then you have like the guys that sometimes help out the Avengers,
right?
Like, what they call not charter members, but like
reserves.
What do you call that? Yes, reserves. And I like it when you have a stable that big that you can have mains and reserves.
I mean, he tends to work with the same people over and over. Like the composers are his people, the cinematographer is his guy. Yep. Like he found early the people he liked to work with and has stuck with them pretty consistently, from what I can see, which is awesome. I really do love to see that.
Well, and like Rian Johnson, he's not afraid to put the star of one movie in a cameo in the next. Yeah. He's not afraid to shuffle people around, give people a chance to shine in different roles and stuff.
Absolutely. And I dig that. I dig that a lot. I'm anxious to know what his next film is going to be and who he's going to cast in it, quite frankly. But
oh, shit.
We'll see who comes back.
I think I already knew the answer to this and I forgot it, and then I didn't look it up, so I'm going to just leave that one alone.
It will be a mystery forever.
He can do literally whatever he wants to do. He did say that he is done directing and that he wants to go back to just writing now.
Oh, real interesting. Okay.
He's done directing.
I mean, it's
who, Garland?
can't be an easy thing.
Yeah, I think he already has one thing that he's either almost done with or done with. So
there's one movie in production called Warfare, and that will be his fifth and apparently final film.
If you want to believe that, but yeah,
right. Like that's okay. Like he's a really good director, but he's not like, to me, he's not like an auteur. So like it wouldn't really bother me too much if he went back to writing. Like, I'm glad we got these really good ass movies that he did a really good job directing, but there's nothing really that stands out about him as a filmmaker outside of just making really fucking good movies.
And see,
does that make sense?
Because I'm such a giant fanboy, I would push back against that, because I think that he does have I think he does have a very specific style and a look to his films. And so I kind of you kind of know a Garland joint when you're looking at it. And I think for me, and I wrote this down earlier, one of his calling cards is I don't know of a director who does a better job of juxtaposing nature with technology, and it's like buildings, like brutalist architecture that's next to like a babbling brook or something like that, you know. But he is such a great eye for taking nature and then and blending it with either modern architecture or specifically technology, especially it's a really beautiful magic trick that he does that I think he does better than almost any other director. And I think that one of his signature styles is ultra modern looking technology or architecture mixed with nature, a lot of greenery, a lot of dirt, a lot of blue skies.
I do know what you're talking about, but I think my handicap here lies in that I have less context because I've only seen Ex Machina in this. I haven't seen Men. I haven't seen Civil War. So perhaps if I had seen those other two, like I'd have more examples, and I'd be like, okay, that's a director's trademark. With from what I've seen, like I said, to me, with those two movies, he's just really good at directing movies.
Yeah, and what's funny is that those are his first two movies.
Yeah,
you know, he did Devs after that, and then Men, and then Civil War, and
which I do want to watch.
He's really just been honing his craft.
He really has. And yeah, he's become one of the more exciting directors. I am kind of bummed that he's said he's not going to do it anymore, because I feel like he is a very unique voice in modern science fiction that we don't have but desperately need. So
because we get a lot of cookie cutter stuff, you know. Give me 10 more of these and let 8 of them flop. I don't care, as long as it's this and not the Atom Project or something, you know.
Right. I mean? Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. So you guys mentioned that the ending of the book very different from the ending of the film. Let's talk about that a little bit before we wrap up tonight.
Brett, you want to take this?
Sure. Yeah. So her husband dies at the beginning of the book. That doesn't even factor in.
Yeah, there's none of this.
Yeah, and she chooses to stay in Area X.
Yeah,
it's not called the Shimmer in the book. And she chooses to stay to investigate it and like do research and find out what happened to her husband.
So she never comes back.
Yeah,
it's just that. But no spoilers. We do see her again in the books.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's got a new name and everything.
Well, good for her.
So what does that mean?
Well, and again, I think that definitely plays to Garland not really caring about developing the other two books in the series. He's just like, I'm going to do my thing with this. And if someone else wants to come along and try to figure it out, God bless. In that respect, it's a little different from what we normally do, because usually it's like, yeah, I've got plans for the next 3 of these things and I want to do them. And Garland's like, no, don't want that. Sorry.
Yeah,
not me.
It seemed definitely when Paramount bought the rights, it was with the intention to do all 3. But it seemed like Alex Garland was like, I'm going to make mine, and if David Ellison wants to make the rest of them and make them real watered down, then he can get McG to do it or something. I don't know.
Fucking McG.
And it's really tough to. He also sort of, in my opinion, maybe wrote the ending in such a way, and it's like, figure out how to make a sequel to this.
Right.
Yeah. We want to follow this up. Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck.
Because it doesn't really afford you that opportunity.
No. Oscar Isaac gets killed off screen somehow, and Natalie Portman goes back in for reasons, and we're back. Okay.
I can't believe I wasn't here to defend McG. You guys, I had to go pee, and like these guys were talking about something I don't remember, and so I was like, I've got time, and like I get in there and they start shitting on McG, and I'm like, oh no, I gotta wash my hands right now.
Well, thank you for washing your hands. I do appreciate that.
Appreciate that.
Hey, it's standard practice.
So Alex Garland, not an auteur. McG, absolute auteur. Is that what I'm hearing from you, Tucker?
Not really. I don't think so. He kind of has a style, but it's too general. It's too general of a style to be. I don't know. It's barely his own, is what I'm saying. I think he's competent.
Yeah.
I think he's competent as fuck, but also I don't think he really has. He has a few trademarks, but not enough to like really give a shit about. Honestly,
I think his main trademark is that his name is McG.
Yes.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
But the first five seasons of Supernatural are pretty good.
You got Supernatural. You got those Charlie Angels movies.
Well,
that were rad as shit.
Well,
you're really
the first 5 seasons of Supernatural are great.
Wait, why were they not? Was it reassessed and now people don't like it? I still like them, both of them. I think they're fantastic.
I'm sure.
Also, I really
love
cover
the 2019 one. You'll have ample opportunity to talk about how much you love the
to watch
ones.
that because I was like, sometimes Kristen Stewart is in stuff that just doesn't get enough publicity or maybe is taken the wrong way. But I'm pretty sure that movie sucks. But I'm excited to watch it.
Which movie?
The 2019 Charlie
Angel,
which we will cover on this podcast one day.
Even she regrets doing that.
But hey, McG though, Terminator Salvation, you guys, come on.
Haven't seen it yet.
That's
wait until we cover it on this podcast.
That's definitely better than Terminator 3.
Is that the Christian Bale one?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's actually kind of fun. Damn it.
Oh,
it's really
good for
good.
you.
Yeah, dude. It's so good. It's the only Terminator movie I have on Blu-ray. It's so good. I love it.
I'm here trying to listen to McG.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, right.
I will back you up on the Kristen Stewart statement because Underwater slaps.
Yeah.
Yes, dude.
Carry on.
I'm just glad that I have brought some respect to McG's name here tonight on this podcast. Thank you.
Future episode of this podcast, Underwater.
Yeah, boy.
Past and future episode of this podcast, Underwater.
Oh, you guys did it already.
The previous episode does not exist,
Oh,
Brett.
yeah.
That's true. No,
Yep,
that
does.
is
Give it to
our
me.
lost
I
episode.
thought it was a funny play on words.
Brett, send it to me. Brett, send it to me.
Say past and future guest does a past and future episode.
Is
Vincent funny,
Cassell
Steven.
that?
I thought it was funny. Okay.
Is Vincent Cassell in that?
Yes.
I remember that trailer. Okay. I'm familiar.
Vincent Cassell.
You want to talk about a movie that like you have to pay attention to?
Yes.
Like that Underwater, absolutely.
Okay, but you're not kidding. It actually is pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it's you really like most of its storytelling is done in the background or like without any dialogue.
I like
so
that.
you have to pay attention.
I'm into that.
I do love paying attention.
You do?
Yeah, we know you do.
Paying attention is tight.
If you love paying attention during movies, do I have a movie for you?
What is it? I'll watch it. What is it? I like that.
You don't have to. It's fine.
Skinamarink is slow cinema horror.
That's the Elephant Show, Skinamarink, right? They do the song.
It's not the Elephant Show.
Not Jared Lothar-Bram's Elephant Show. No,
it's the same thing. Yep.
Underneath the moon. No, none of that.
No.
Skinamarink is what happens if David Lynch directed the Blair Witch Project. That's Skinamarink.
Yeah.
No, that sounds great.
Actually, I was going to say, wait,
that's not at all.
I can tell I'm going to love your take, Brett. Let's go. What's up?
Am I the only one that kind of liked Skinamarink?
It's the slowest burn.
The police are coming to get you right now.
It's the slowest burn
like,
horror you've ever
officers,
seen.
There he is. There he is, officers. That's him right there.
No.
Straight up no.
If they take me away, who's going to end the podcast?
Oh, I have plans.
Oh, jeez.
I've always had a plan.
So Annihilation comes out February 23rd in the year of our Lord 2018. It opens in 4th place that weekend. In 1st place in its 2nd weekend is a little movie called Black Panther.
Oh yeah, that was pretty all right.
Yeah. In the number 2 spot, a movie I think is actually really, really fucking good. Jason Bateman, Rachel McAdams, and the great Jesse Plemons in Game Night.
Yeah, I ain't seen that. Should I watch that? Would I like that, Steven?
I like that a lot better than I expected to. Look, if if you're gonna do an episode on game night, you better hurry the fuck up before they make a sequel to it. Because
if they make a sequel, we have to cover the sequel if we've already covered it. So that's our covenant with our audience. So if there's like a sequel in development, we tend to like back off. Although we've got a couple coming down the pipeline where we were a little fuzzy on that. So
game night is better than it has any right to be. It's very fun.
It is. It's very good. It's a very funny. My expectations were not high, and they were so exceeded.
Sharon Horgan and Billy Magnuson together are just so funny.
They're really funny. Agreed. In third place, a little movie called Peter Rabbit in its third weekend.
Fucking what?
Opening ahead of Annihilation in fourth place.
The star of Peter Rabbit was the star of Alex Garland's previous film, Ex Machina, Domhnall Gleeson.
Oh, yeah, that dude.
Yeah.
Yes, Brendan Gleeson's son, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that main dude.
Son of the great Brendan Gleeson.
He was the guy, he had the face in that movie, yeah.
Sure did. He always gives good face.
He's always got the face going on, for sure.
He does, yeah. In fifth place that weekend, it's the third weekend of 50 Shades Freed, which is one of those movies I don't care about.
Sure. Who cares?
Rounding out the top 10, we've got Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. In sixth place. In seventh place, the 1517 to Paris.
The what now?
The 1517
what the
Paris.
fuck is this shit?
The Clint
You don't know this? Yeah, this is a Clint Eastwood movie about
it does just roll off the tongue, you know. It's real easy to remember.
A terrorist attack on a train, and he casts the survivors of that, like the people who like fought off the terrorists. He casts them in the movie. What do we
think about that? What do they think about that?
They got to be in a Clint Eastwood movie. What do you think?
Yeah.
I don't know.
There are a bunch of military dudes who got to be in a Clint Eastwood movie. It was literally the highlight of their life, other than saving this bus station from terrorists.
Right.
I would straight up love a documentary on that. I'm not going to watch that movie until there's a documentary made about it. That's all I'm saying.
I think that's a great stance to make. And then when you're done with the documentary, go ahead and don't watch the movie.
Correct.
No, I'm gonna watch it anyway.
Well, that's what Clint wants you to do. So
yeah,
that's fine. Look, he's not great now, but he showed enough goodwill with me, like in the 70s and shit, that like I can't. Like I'm not against
with
it.
The unprofessional actors in the 17 to Paris.
And here's the thing, like, I'm interested in that. Like, I want to see that because I've never seen something like that before. And even if it sucks, like, I'm glad that I watched it because, like, if I didn't watch it, I'd be wondering, like, how much does that suck? I wish I knew.
There's a reason why it was, what was that, Steven, 7th or 8th on the box office list this week?
Is 7th after 3 weeks in release. It has earned, I mean, in fairness, it's earned almost the entire domestic box office of Annihilation at this point. So,
well, it's also directed by Clint Eastwood. So,
I mean, look, Clint knows his audience, and he makes movies for his audience, and they come out.
Credit where credit's due.
Yes, he does.
Game recognized game.
Like, what does my audience want to see? Me in a threesome.
Yeah, but also play Misty for me though. I'm just saying, there's so much good Clint Eastwood. Like, I'm willing to let the bad Clint Eastwood now slide.
That's fair.
There's
like
so much. There's so much back catalog.
They railroaded that guy.
He got railroaded, y'all.
He railroaded that motherfucker. In 8th place, we've got The Greatest Showman. In 10 weeks, I mean, it's earned $160 million on its way to
the Barnum one with Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, and that's just its domestic box office. It made a shitload of money overseas.
Mm-hmm. If that weren't a biopic, we would be getting sequels to that shit.
Mm-hmm.
In 9th place, a movie called Every Day, which seems to be some kind of teen romance movie with Angourie Rice and Justice Smith.
What if there was a day every day? What if every day there was a day?
What if every day?
Every day. What if?
And then in 10th place, Early Man.
Early Men?
Early Man. It was an Aardman film.
Aardman film. That was my guess. Yeah.
With Eddie Redmayne and Tom Hiddleston. And then 11th place, you got all the Oscar contenders from the previous year still in theaters.
Yeah.
Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Shape of Water, The Post, Phantom Thread. Like, it's all there. So,
nice.
Oof. Give me that Phantom Thread, baby.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Oof. Love it.
That's my second favorite.
Billboards, just saying. Missed me with that.
Phantom Thread is my second favorite PTA Daniel Day-Lewis collaboration.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
You can't go wrong with DDL. DDL is where it's at.
Pretty much, yeah.
Phantom Thread is also my favorite of Johnny Greenwood's scores.
Ooh, I buy that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember it, but I need to. I'm due for a rewatch on that one.
Beautiful.
Annihilation makes 32.7 million domestic.
Yikes.
There's another 10.3 international for a grand total of 43 million worldwide, and that's against a production budget of 55 million.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. So that's a real fumbled bag there, and again, a lot of it, the blame lays at Ellison's feet for deciding to kick international distribution to Netflix.
They broke even off of home box office, but still, home box office makes it sound like they broke even on HBO.
Yeah,
no, but they did break even because it did really well streaming and rental and all of that.
Yeah, I believe that because I mean it's an intense watch. It's really fun. Well, fun. It's a good watch.
It's a cute show.
I'd say it's fun.
It's a banger. The tomatometer score is an 88%, certified fresh.
See what I mean?
Yeah, the critics' consensus: Annihilation backs up its sci-fi visual wonders and visceral genre thrills with an impressively ambitious and surprisingly strange exploration of challenging themes that should leave audiences pondering long after the credits roll. Yes.
Word.
Agreed.
The Metascore is a 79 from generally favorable reviews from 51 critics. And Tucker, you want to take a stab at the Letterboxd score?
I think on this movie, I'm going to go 3.0 to 3.4 because I have a 4.4 spread. So 3.0 to 3.4. What is it? Hit me with it. Hit me.
You missed it.
3.6.
Yeah, baby.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Letterboxd crawled out of its own ass and
sure did.
made a good judgment there. Like,
what's funny is if I had a 4-point spread, I would have guessed 3.6 to 4.0. So because when you said 3.6, I was like, that's a little lower than I expected. Okay.
Yeah.
But still, if you round up, it's fair. I'm just saying.
The time has come for us to give our own opinions. Noah, as our guest, out of 5 stars, how many are you giving to Alex Garland's Annihilation?
4.5.
4.5. Brett, what about you?
I also give it 4.5.
Right on. Tucker?
It's a solid 4. Like the most solid 4 possible, like with several bullets. Kind of a 4. Yeah.
Okay. I'm
very 4.
I had it as a 4 the last time I watched it. And I bumped it up to a 4.5 on this rewatch.
There it is. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do dig this movie. It is very, very
fantastic.
Fun. And it's like with Brett and I, it's like, yeah, it's a 4.5. It's like, what are you docking it for? And it's like, I don't know. What am I docking it for? Like, I can't even tell you like what prevents it from being a 5.
I'm usually, I don't know what it is. I usually don't care in this sense, but like, I don't know, like 5 stars indicates it's a perfect movie.
Yeah.
That's usually where I go to. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I don't know. I can't tell you what exactly is keeping it from being a perfect movie, but I just can't in good conscience say it's a perfect
movie. For me,
I think 2 more rewatches and I could get there.
You think so?
I could get there.
I've seen it 4 times, and I'm starting to think like maybe by the 6th time I might be like, you know what, it's perfect. I think what's prevented it for me though this far is that the movie that came right before it was perfect, 5 stars, and so I watched this one and I'm like, that is fucking great. Is it as good as Ex Machina? No, so it can't be 5. Right. And that's not really fair. No,
it's not fair to Annihilation for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But he shouldn't have made such a good movie after a really good movie.
That's
idiot.
What's wrong with you?
That's where he should have put Men.
Right.
Yeah, Men. Yeah, then because then this would have seemed like a rebound after that.
I like men a lot.
You've established that, yeah.
I feel like if I experienced men, that I would love men, but I just have not. I've not
no desire
into
really.
Men.
It's just not my thing
yet. Yeah, I don't know. I might get into it. I feel like I'm open to men.
All I would say is don't knock it till you've tried it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna experience men, you guys. It's gonna happen. It's got the gal from Fargo season 4 in it, so I'm gonna experience some men.
I also enjoyed the Alex Garland film Men.
There you go. You figured
I love
it out.
how specific you are, Stephen. I love that.
Right.
It's odd, but
yeah,
admirable.
I don't know. Odd that I would put that fine a point on it. I don't know.
Yeah. People know what we're talking about.
Yeah, sure, of course. On this podcast, absolutely.
Stephen, what's your favorite entry point on Natalie Portman? Was a question you asked earlier in the podcast.
No, I did not say favorite entry point.
Might as well have.
He did not say favorite.
I embellished for sure.
Oh, and on that note, Noah, thank you so much for joining us, man. This has been a treat, an absolute delight.
Thanks for having me. We'll let's do Hot Rod eventually.
I'll get it on the list. Absolutely. Noah, where can we find you on socials? Do you want to be found on socials? What are you working on these days, and where can we find it? Plug, sir.
I am on socials as the name Boy Rorbison, like Roy Orbison, but not that. And I've been doing I've been working on a lot of music scoring. I did the music for the podcast for this movie history podcast called the answer to the previous question. It's like a history podcast about early starlets from like the switch from black and white to talkies.
Okay.
Right on. And so
sounds like something I would dig.
Yeah, I've been trying to do music for film and television. So that's what I've been up to lately. Although I haven't acted in quite a while, but my wife and I took the baby to O'Charlie's today. A real fancy night out to eat.
Oh yeah.
And I saw somebody I knew there, and they were celebrating their grandfather's birthday. And they wanted to come over and look at the baby, and then they go back to their seat. About a half an hour later, they come over with cake. Her and her little daughter, who's like 9, and she goes, she wanted to bring you some cake. She looked you up on IMDb and saw that it was your birthday yesterday, so we brought you cake.
Aw. Well, happy belated birthday. Thank you for spending it with us.
Yeah, well, I had a blast. Thank you so much, and I hope we get to do this again.
Oh, we'll absolutely get you in for another episode, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. This is the Disenfranchised Podcast. You can find us on, what are we on now? Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and Letterboxd and YouTube at Disenfranch Pod. You can find our Patreon, patreon.com/disenfranchpod, where you can get episodes of Upsall Christianity Corner, Upsall Video Game Corner. What are we watching? Find out what we've been watching. Well, I mostly Tucker and Brett, because I've had to piece out on a couple of the more recent ones, but yeah, find out what we've been watching there behind that paywall. Just $5 a month gets you access to hours of bonus podcasts, as many as your sweet ears want to hear. Shoot us an email, disenfranchpod@gmail.com. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know all the Tucker, are you mad because I forgot to mention that the Patreon is the official comment section of the podcast? Is that why you're giving me that shitty face?
I just had some intestinal distress. Is all that was, Stephen. I was in a distress over here, a little pain in my stomach.
I was about to pipe in and be like, also, Stephen, isn't it the official conversation of the main feed?
Well, that's what I heard.
I don't know where I heard that. I don't know. It's probably just ringing in my ears again.
I wish that this were a visual, like a video podcast as well, because it's just so fun. Like Tucker's room. Stephen looks like Tim Heidecker right now, and
I'll take it.
And then
hey, yeah.
And Brett just looks bemused the whole time and waits like 15 minutes between speaking.
He's our patient overlord.
He is.
Yeah, he really is just boundless patience. It's hats off to you, man.
He has to put up with us.
Yeah, I have to be.
Got to be the cool little center of the earth, man.
He does not have any option. We really don't give him one, but he takes it with a plum. He's a great guy, great sport. We miss him when he's not here because it's completely untethered when he's not here.
I can imagine.
And tethered, and Tucker doesn't have anybody to bounce Ghostbuster 2 quotes off of.
That's true.
I don't.
They just smack me right in the face like so much spaghetti. I don't know. Anyway,
like so much pink slime. It was right there.
Yeah.
Sorry again for everything.
You're not sleeping with it, are you, Brett?
It's always the quiet ones.
Email us, disenfranchissedpod@gmail.com. We will read your comments on the air. Speaking of things we'll read on the air, swing on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a nice 5-star rating and review, and we will read those on the podcast as well. Haven't gotten any for a little while. Shame on you all. Fix it, and we'll read your stuff on the air. I am your host, Stephen Foxworthy. You can find me on Instagram, Letterboxd, and what's the third one? Blue Sky at Chewy Walrus. And you can also buy my new book that my partner and I wrote together called Check In, Check Out. It's my first novel. It's on available for e-reader and paperback on Amazon.com. So yeah, check that out. Brett, what about you? Where are you on socials these days, or are you?
Yeah, I'm continuing my fuck social media campaign.
Respect.
I mean, I posted.
I love that for you.
Yeah,
on Instagram the other day just because I thought it was cool.
Did I like it, Brett?
You did. I did. Yeah.
Did I like it live on the air when we were recording? What are we watching?
You did.
I think I did. Yeah, I remember that. I do remember that because we had the same conversation. I was like, wait, I didn't see it. I need to like it right now.
But in general, I really don't use Instagram. I mean, that post got like a whole 5 likes. And it usually gets more. So my campaign to just fuck social media continues. You can find me on Letterboxd, though.
Brett, what is your favorite point of entry on social media?
Don't know how to answer that.
Sorry.
No comment.
You know what? That's the right answer.
Yeah, but you can find me on Letterboxd at sus_warlock.
Right on. Tucker, what about you?
As always, you can find me on YouTubes and Instagrams at Ice909. That's ICENINE, the number 0 and the number 9. I'm also on Instagram as Tuck Mugs. That's Tuck_Mugs. We've been taking a bit of a break again. We do this where there's like a vomit of content for like maybe 2 weeks, and then we kind of go radio silence for a while. That's just how we prefer to do it. Look, the team likes to, get together and like in kind of bounce ideas off each other and stuff, and it's a bunch of ideas all at once. So like we'll have a bunch of stuff done all at once, and then there'll be a while we're in the kitchen cooking that new shit. So right now we're cooking that new shit. Stay tuned on Tuck Mugs because we've got some shit.
It's feast or famine, really.
Yeah. It's nice because like you almost forget about Tuck Mugs, and then like it pops up on your feed, and you're like, oh fuck yeah, it's Tuck Mugs. Yeah, my day's like 100% better now. Yeah. And
when the thing we're percolating finishes percolating, we'll pour it in a mug and take a picture of it and put it on the internet. So
see, if there were too much Tuck Mugs, it wouldn't be as special. It would get boring.
But also like when send your guest mugs.
I am so lost.
It's also like when Prime puts out the whole series at once. It's like, what are you doing, man? People don't have willpower. You're ruining the show for them. It's the same thing. We like to kind of stutter it, like let people digest the content we have before we move on to something new,
Tucker's pretty much just promoting edging right now.
Soon.
Edging.
That's pretty much. Yes. It took a long time for someone to figure out that that's what Tuck Mugs was about. But now that you know, go to Tuck Mugs at Tuck_Mugs on Instagram and join the fastest growing mug community on Instagram.
Edging community. Oh,
yes.
Mug
All of the
edging.
above. Yes.
Mudging?
There's a mug on there that just says edging, and then it has like the emoji that people use for that. You know what I mean? And then but like X'd out like Ghostbusters.
Is there an emoji for that? Is there an emoji for that?
Yeah, it's the squirt emoji, dude.
There's an emoji for everything.
There's an emoji for
I
everything.
guess.
What do you think the eggplant is?
Well, I know what that is, but like, I feel like they could have done better than the squirt emoji. I'm just saying. It's kind of a reach, but I mean, it's neither here nor there. Straight up Tuck_Mugs. You trying to look at some mugs? You trying to straight up see some pint glasses? Maybe, like if you're lucky, you might see a shot glass. You don't know. And is there coffee in the mug? Most of the time, but sometimes it's motherfucking soup. So head on down to Tuck Mugs.
You're not selling it very well. Like people love their mugs. People love their glasses. They love that. There's always usually a story about the best ones.
That's true.
And that's where we showcase those. You take a picture of your favorite mug or your favorite glass. You tell us a little story about how you acquired it, what's inside of it. Maybe you're an avid coffee drinker and you want to promote a coffee company.
Okay,
yeah, sure.
I like that. I thought it sounded to me like Tucker was just hawking mugs.
No, I'm not selling any mugs. No mugs
we gotta
will be
pay
sold.
some bills, guys. Go to tuckmugs.com.
That's why I needed to clarify.
No, I want to spread the good word because it's just kind of a good-natured, wholesome sort of thing, and like a lot of people be straight up doom scrolling and shit, and like maybe you want to check out some Tuck Mugs where we're just kind of chilling out and looking at some mugs and talking about A, how we got them, like interesting origin stories, and B, what the fuck is inside of them at the time the photo was taken. Yeah.
And it's not limited to mugs. It can be, again, glassware, bottles, like anything that's cool and has a fun story, we'll accept.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you can drink out of, I think, is going to be kind of the rule.
And guest mugs are also accepted. Just send those.
Send us a guest mug, Noah.
And your story behind your mug you can do it on Instagram. Just follow Tuck Mugs and just drop us a line. Someone will read it. Yeah.
You can send us an email as well. That works too.
To disenfranchpod@gmail.com.
This is Instagram and it's just called Tuck Mugs.
Tuck_Mugs. Mugs.
Going
yes.
right now. Going right now.
And if you're going right now, then that last 5 minutes was worth it. Because that's the only reason I went on so far about it is because you weren't as interested in it as I wanted you to be until now.
Well, until I gave him the 1 minute spiel about what it's really about.
Right.
There you go. Thank you, Brett, for the assist.
Maybe Brett should promote Tuck Mugs from now on.
How about this?
The Tucker, assist and the hook.
Let me tell you this. I typed in Tuck and then _. It's the first friggin' thing that comes up.
Hell yeah,
dude. I mean, we got like, I don't know, like 25 followers. It's kind of a big deal.
That
you guys.
Yes, you have 33 now.
What the fuck? It's popping off at Tuck Mugs. Oh shit! I'm gonna have to start paying my staff more.
So
yes,
Steven, you're getting a raise.
Check in and see how many of those are bots.
So I just follow it and then take a photo of my mug and I message it to you and then
tell us how you got it, where you got it, what's in it.
Look at a couple posts and kind of get the idea of the format. It's pretty simple. After a couple posts, you'll be like, okay, I get what this format is. And then send us a photo of the mug and write us a bit of a description of it or origin story, and then what's in it at the time you took the photo.
I see.
Bada bing, bada boom.
I
You're
drink
a guest
lot
mug.
of tea, so
Hell we haven't had any tea yet. You will be our first. You will pop our tea cherry.
That's disgusting.
What's your favorite entry point on tea, Noah?
Yeah.
I would say the entry point for tea. Go with Picard's favorite and go just Earl Grey.
I can dig it. I like the fruity shit.
It's a real gateway tea.
Fruity shit.
It is.
Yeah, see, you know you've arrived when you're sucking back yerba mate like it's going out of style.
There you go.
That's my preferred, but yeah.
I'm a Lapsang Souchong guy. Give me that real dark, heavy stuff.
Yeah. I dig Genmaicha. It's probably my favorite green with the rice.
Ooh, yeah.
And
what?
And you're listening to Tea Time with Stephen and Noah.
I don't drink a whole lot of tea, but when I do,
Yeah,
it
me
is
neither.
during the fall when David's tea has a bunch of pumpkin spice flavors, and that shit
Good
is
old
delicious.
David.
Oh my
I
God.
saw a big ass bottle
Brett.
of pumpkin spice rum chata at my local liquor store for $5.
Oh, baby.
And my partner was like, does Brett need some? And I'm like, I mean, Brett
Yes.
is
Brett.
Tell me
okay.
you got it.
The
You
answer
got
to
it
that
for him,
question
right?
is yes.
Oh my
Okay,
God,
I did-
Brett, you love pumpkin spice?
Oh, I'm the most basic
Yeah,
bitch you'll
he
ever
is-
see.
I was gonna say, you're a basic
He is a
bitch. Oh
pumpkin
my
spice
God.
freak.
Hell
He
yeah.
Dude,
is
obsessed with it. He's
the
unhinged.
most basic of bitches is Brett when it comes to when it comes to pumpkin spice.
Steven
You
recently
like what you like.
purchased
Who cares what you like?
a bottle of pumpkin spice whiskey that is delicious that I've been
Fuck
sipping
yeah,
on
dude.
recently. It is.
That's Brett's gateway to whiskey right there is the pumpkin spice whiskey. Because Brett's like
No.
not a whiskey guy, but
It's not really a gateway, more so as like just a
More
pit
like an
stop on my
entry
way to
point.
the rum. So there you go.
oh, I don't know what the last 10 minutes have been, but I know I have enjoyed
Fun
them.
times.
Yeah, like, where do you edit this out? Where do you cut this out?
I'm the
don't.
guy. I'm the guy who edits.
Man,
Which is
there
to
are-
say,
I am the one who edits.
if
I'm a
there are
very liberal
still-
editor.
If there's still anyone listening, they are like hardcore freaks for this show.
yeah,
I disagree. I disagree because the people that are fans, this is kind of what they come here for, and we have
Wow.
a certain amount that whether we go above it or way above it, I feel like I have a comfortable. I'm pretty sure about my number on how many regular listeners we have.
Full-blown
Pretty sure about that.
maniacs, every damn one of them.
Yes.
yeah, and look, we love those dang ass
Oh, yeah.
freaks.
And
We
we
love
love
them.
You.
Yeah, dude.
We love you
It's
in your
like-
dang ass freakitude.
You know what you're getting when you come to the Disenfranchised podcast. And could it be edited tighter? Sure. If I had all fucking week to edit an episode, it would be edited like a Danny Gonzalez video. Like, holy fuck. But your boy only has a couple hours a week to do that. So I kind of make it as a stream of conscious sort of thing, because we
Instead of
take
like
so
an
many
Aaron
tangents
Sorkin
that
script.
works for us. It
Yeah.
does. We take a lot of tangents, so it kind of works for the format. So it's not, I don't think it's really, I don't know. I think it's good.
And if the
I
point
like
of podcasting is really to just pretend like you're listening to a conversation between friends, then this is what a conversation with these people sounds like, quite frankly.
Yeah.
There you go.
That was
So,
something
yeah.
I noticed when I've been last week. I listened to the Lonely Island and Seth Meyers podcast, and it was
Which is
so well edited too. Like there's not a second wasted in it, but you can tell that it's so well edited. I'm like, man, I wish I could do that for our show. I wish I had the time to do that for our show. But then I was like, well, but then it would kind of lose its charm. Kind of.
Agreed.
But at the same time, I'd like to hear their tangents.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah,
tangents probably would have been great.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
as it is, I mean, I took your
It's
recommendation,
fantastic,
Tucker. I
yeah.
listened to all of it. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
It's really
I've been
good,
wanting
yeah.
to start that too.
It's good. Check it out. Like most episodes are between like half an hour to an hour, so
Well,
pretty
I'm
easily
going to check it out,
digestible.
and then we can talk about it at, during the Hot Rod podcast because it will be
yes,
it will
because that will be relevant.
yes,
Relevant as
And
fuck.
that would be cool beans.
cool.
Cool beans.
beans.
Cool beans. Steven doesn't get this reference.
Cool.
But you're gonna, dude.
Beans?
Beans.
Beans? I don't know.
Cool
Anyway,
beans.
this has been the Annihilation episode of the Disenfranchised podcast. I have been your host, Stephen Foxworthy, for my co-host, Brett Wright, Tucker, and our very special guest, Noah East. Until next time, I'm really just a bear in the middle of the woods screaming, help me, in a human voice. Won't somebody please, for the love of God, help me?
Well, you guys, I haven't really been interested in men before, but I think I might give men a shot.